Okay students, this will be your first class for your economics paper. So without further ado, let's get straight into the chapter. So I'll be taking up the chapter number 1, which is an introduction to the subject microeconomics or economics. So this chapter will basically talk about what is economics all about, and in particular we will try to see what is microeconomics and what is the difference between microeconomics and macroeconomics. So here it is given, the definition is given here. So economics, the word economics is derived from two Greek words, that is oikos and monos. Oikos meaning household and monos would mean rules or management. So economics basically means it is the rules and regulations or the management of a household. Here household can be referred to as state or the country or even to the world at large. So I will come back to this definition in a later session. Before that, the subject of economics, why it has gained more importance at the present age or at the present society. That is because problems such as poverty, unemployment, lack of growth, inflation, which face many economists, are being solved, with the help of economists. So economists frame policies, frames rules and regulations so that these economic problems are being solved. And then even the business firms and governments employ economists as their advisor to get their problems solved. So that is why, and that is the reason why the subject economics has gained much emphasis or has gained more importance in the recent years. So again, coming back to the definition of economics, what is economics all about? So to get the best definition, let us look at Adam Smith. Adam Smith is considered as the father of economics. So Adam Smith defines economics as a study of wealth. He defines economics as a study of wealth. So in his book Wealth of Nations, published in 1776, he explains that economics inquires into the factors that determine wealth of nations. So in this book, Adam Smith, write about the various factors or inquires into the factors that determines the wealth of nations. So he wants to find out that what are the factors that determine the wealth of nations. And he further goes on to explain that wealth of a country is not about accumulation of gold or silver, but he clearly mentions that wealth of a country would mean production of goods and services for satisfaction of the people. So he clearly says that the wealth of a nation is determined by the production of goods and services. How much amount of goods and services can be produced by a particular country will define the wealth of a nation, and not just accumulation of gold and silver. So Adam Smith, he further advocated free market system. So free market system would mean government interference is not there. Government interference is absent. So he advocated this market system or free market system to efficiently utilize the resources so that we can attain rapid economic growth. So we will talk in a later session about the nature of the resources, why we have to efficiently use these resources in the later part of this chapter. And so economics as a scientific study emerged after the publication of the book Wealth of Nations in 1776 by Adam Smith. So from that time onwards, the subject economics as a scientific study or as a scientific subject, it has emerged and it has gained more importance, as we have mentioned. And opposite to this, we also have Amartya Sen, who is an eminent Indian economist who won Nobel Prize in 1998. See, Amartya Sen analyzed the problems of poverty, hunger, inequality, unemployment in less developed countries like India. So, Sen or Amartya Sen stressed the role of government. Here we see the difference between Adam Smith and Amartya Sen. Adam Smith gave importance to market. Here, Amartya Sen is giving stress on the role of government to solve the problems of poverty, hunger, inequality, unemployment, etc. in the less developed countries like India. So here, government should play an active role to get rid of all these economic problems. So that is the difference between Adam Smith and Amartya Sen. So we are talking about, poverty, hunger, inequality, unemployment here. So economics is an interesting subject because it is discussing about bread and butter, or it is discussing or it is studying about the daily, problems that we face. So economics as a subject is a interesting paper, and we will discuss in the next topic about economics as a study of scarcity and choice. Alright, economics as a study of scarcity and choice. So we shall see what are the things to be covered under this topic. So after completion of the definition of economics and understanding the concepts about economics, we move to the concept called scarcity and choice. So L. Robbins, who is an eminent English economist, raised a basic issue as to why economic problems of production distribution arise. So he analyzed and he raised certain issues regarding why economic problems of production and distribution arise in the economy. So the answer to this is simple. Answer is resources are scarce, whereas wants are unlimited. See, I have told you resources can be, natural and man-made resources, but both of them are limited. They are not found in abundance. And opposite to that, human wants are unlimited. Man's wants are virtually unlimited. So when we talk about scarcity of resources, we need to know the meaning of scarce. So scarcity means people do not have as much as they want. They cannot have as much as they want because they are limited in supply, limited and cannot be found in abundance, which means that resources are not enough to satisfy the wants of the people. Since it is not enough to satisfy the wants of the people, what we have to do is choice. So economics is a study of scarcity and choices. Since the resources are scarce and we cannot satisfy all the wants of humans, we have to make a choice to allocate these resources. So choices, when it comes to choices, there is a beautiful statement given here. There is no such thing as a free lunch. What does it mean? So if you want to have one thing more, you have to sacrifice something for that. So in order to have a lunch, you have to sacrifice something which you are about to have or which you want to have. There is no such thing as a free lunch. If you want to have lunch, you have to pay for the lunch, and while paying for the lunch, you are foregoing something which you could have bought or which you could have consumed before buying the lunch. So you have to sacrifice something to take something else. That is a matter of choice, since resources are scarce, but your wants are unlimited. So here comes unlimited wants and limited resources. So since resources are limited and human wants are unlimited, we have to see what are the ways in which we should use the resources in the best way possible so that we will derive the maximum utility from the available resources. So therefore, as I have told you, economics is the study of how a society uses its scarce resources to produce goods and services of various kinds to satisfy the wants of the people. So that is the concept, the definition of economics. What does economics do? It study how a society uses these scarce resources to produce goods and services of various kinds, to satisfy the wants of the people. Since we cannot satisfy all the wants of the people, we should be able to use these limited resources in a way possible that we will derive the maximum benefit out of it. And so there are three basic facts of life that leads to economic problems. What are those? Number one, unlimited wants of the people. Again, scarcity of resources. And then again, we talk about this alternative uses of resources. So these are the three basic facts of life which leads to economic problems. We shall see one by one. Number one, we have unlimited wants. See, as we have talked and we have discussed, man's desire are virtually unlimited. Man's wants are limited. Man's wants are unlimited. But if man's wants are limited, then we will not have any economic problem. We have economic problem because man's wants are limited. So that is the root cause of all the economic problems. And then humans wants to consume more than what the economy can produce. I repeat, men's wants are unlimited. And if men's wants are limited, then we will not have any economic problems. Further, if the supply of goods exceeds the demand for the goods, then again, we might not have, or we will not have, economic problem. So again, we demand goods or we consume goods which are of economic value. Those are called economic goods. We have very less amount of free goods. Free goods are those which are found in abundance, such as the air, heat from the sun, water from the side of the river, and sea, and sand in the desert. These are some of the free goods. But the goods that human desires or the goods that human consumes are economic goods, and we have to pay for it in order to consume those goods. So it is called economic goods. And economic goods are the goods which are wanted by men, and not much of the free goods. And again, according to classification of goods based on intensities. Based on the intensities of wants of the people, goods are being classified into two types. And allow me to correct myself. Before, I have given the example mistakenly. For luxurious goods, I have given food, clothes, shelter, and for necessity goods, I have good cars, color, television. So you just interchange it. I have written it mistakenly. So according to the intensities of wants of the people, goods are classified into luxurious goods and necessity goods. So example of luxurious goods can be cars, color TV, palatial house, etc. And then necessity goods can be food, clothing, shelter, or the kerosene oil that we use for cooking, etc. And remember and note this point that goods which are luxurious today may become necessities in the future. We have seen that and we have experience of that. Goods which are considered as luxurious now, it can be considered as a necessity in the near future. So with that, we have come to the second fact of life that leads to economic problems, that is scarce resources. Resources are scarce in its supply. They are not found in abundance. And if resources like wants are unlimited, it would have been possible to fully satisfy all wants of the people for the various goods and services that they have demanded, that they have desired. But goods and services are, usually scarce. Why? Because there are not enough resources to produce those goods and services. And that is called the law of scarcity. What does the law of scarcity tells us? It tells us that the goods and services are scarce. Why? Because resources to produce goods and services are also limited. They are not found in abundance, and because of that, we face the problem of what to produce, how to produce, and for whom to produce. What goods are to be produced, and how are the goods to be produced, whether we should use capital, whether we should use labor intensive, etc. And for whom to produce, and for whom the goods are to be produced. And there are different types of production resources, or we call it factors of production. There are mainly four factors of production, that is land, labor, capital, entrepreneur. So land, in economics, it includes all the available natural resources which are free gift of nature. So by land, economics does not only mean only agricultural soil, but also all other natural resources such as minerals, water, climate, and forests. And remember, this payment for use of land per period is called rent. So for the use of land, you will get rent. Second, we have labor. Labor represents all the physical and mental abilities which people can make available for the production of goods and services. So again, labor is usually measured by the time spent in working during a period, and for the use of labor you will get wages. And thirdly, we have capital. Capital in economics is mainly refers to the resources or the man-made resources of production. It includes equipment, factory buildings, and all sorts of tools, machines, roads, dams, transport buses and trucks, etc. These are all part of capital. And capital formation in a year is called an investment. Remember this, capital formation in a year is called investment. And lastly, we have entrepreneur. Entrepreneur means special human capability or his expertise, we can say. It is the entrepreneur who initiates and organizes the production process by combining all the other resources such as the labor, capital, and land. So an entrepreneur is to introduce innovations such as the use of new and better techniques of production, launching of new projects, etc. are all done by the entrepreneurs. And Again, the entrepreneur in a free market economy has no guarantee of profit. Sometimes, sometimes the entrepreneur run in a loss. It is not guaranteed about the profit that he makes. So the reward for his ability and efforts may be handsome profits, but that is not possible all the time, and sometimes in certain cases he may run in a loss. But the reward for his ability and effort is profit for him. So in conclusion, what we can draw is that all economic resources such as land, labor, capital, entrepreneurial ability are scarce or they are limited in supply. In other words, resources such as mineral resources, labor time, capital, equipment required for the production of goods and services are available in limited quantities. Because of these limited resources, it has put a constraint on the production capacity of the economy. So as a result, output of goods and services to satisfy human wants is necessarily limited. So the last point is alternative uses of resources. So the third fact on which economics is based is that productive resources, they have alternative uses. In other words, resources can be used to produce various types of goods and services. Let's take an example of a fuel. Fuel can be used for production of industrial goods. And again, the same coal can be used for running train. And it can be also used for domestic cooking purposes. Second example, labor. Labor can be used for producing consumer goods, and the same labor force can be used for producing capital goods. So what we are trying to say is that these productive resources, they have alternative uses, and because of these various alternative uses, we have to decide about the best allocation of resources. We have to see what is the best way for the allocation of these different type of resources to produce certain goods or services. So with that, we have discussed the three basic facts of life which gives rise to economic problem. We have discussed unlimited wants, scarcity of resources, and alternative uses of resources. So with that, we have come to the end of this session, and we shall continue in the next video. Thank you everyone.